For Victims and Villains, my name is Josh, and today we are shining a light on independent cinema. This is I Know Catherine, the Log Lady. I Know Catherine, the Log Lady is a all-encompassing documentary that explores the life, career, and legacy of Catherine E. Coulson, aka the Log Lady. So fair warning, I'm going to say that this is going to be one of the shorter videos that we've done on this because I think this film does a phenomenal job at really capturing who Coulson was, not only as an actress, but also at the same time, just as a person and all-around creative. I'm a huge David Lynch fan, and so I have seen Coulson as the Log Lady in both the series The Return and Fire Walk with Me multiple times, and she's just kind of ingrained into me as the Log Lady, as I'm sure she is for most of us. She also had a hand in also helping bring another Lynchian masterpiece to the screen, Eraserhead. Like, I didn't know she had a life kind of beyond Twin Peaks because this has been the only thing I'd ever seen her in outside of Eraserhead, but she found great success on the stage as well as also behind the camera as an operator and also just kind of filling in wherever she was needed. And I just kind of found the more technical aspects of pre-Twin Peaks just as fascinating as the post-Twin Peaks, where I just kind of felt like the post-era of Coulson's life, especially the way this documentary explored it, was just very heartwarming, and it was also very funny at the same time. I love that this documentary holds nothing back about Coulson's life. It celebrates the good and the bad, and there were a couple of things that I did not know about her personal life that I'm really glad this film brought to the surface. I felt like it really creates this full three-dimensional picture of who Catherine Coulson was, not only as a performer, but also at the same time as a person, as a mother. I think if I had two complaints about this movie, the first one would be the exploration as a mother, where this film kind of continuously teases and it kind of lightly touches on the fact of her as a mother, but it never hits underneath that surface level where I really would have liked to kind of see an exploration. It kind of felt like the one element of her character that just kind of felt like it was off limits to where we couldn't go deep, and he just kind of stayed surface level. My other complaint about this movie would be how the information is actually presented to its audience. So, for example, it kind of has this dual timeline that runs until they kind of meet in the middle by the end, to where it's showing the beginning of her career and the end of her life. And it just kind of felt like there were some parts of those information where it felt rushed, or it didn't get into as deeply as it did other eras of her life. And I really kind of would have just preferred it to the information to be presented in a chronological type of way, or kind of have this thread to where maybe we don't necessarily have a timeline, but we're just going to kind of build off of the relationship with Lynch, and then we're going to kind of go into her life as a, behind the camera, and then kind of branch off into Twin Peaks, and then branch off, and and just kind of have this non-linear element to it. But I think kind of that dual storyline and timeline effect that the film does present it in does hold it back. But I think that this movie is going to be made for a very niche audience. I happen to be a part of that niche audience. I love Twin Peaks. I love The Log Lady. I love David Lynch. And I love a lot of, I was a theater kid myself, so I really appreciated a lot of the elements of this film. With that said, I do think this is going to only appeal to a certain group of people. And that's fine. There are some movies that are definitely made for a small sect of people. It's not going to be a wide type of documentary that's going to appeal to a multitude of people. With that said, I'm ready to run this one through our Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give I Know Catherine, the Log Lady a 4 out of 5. I think overall this movie does an incredible job at encompassing the entirety of Catherine Coulson as a person and as a performer. But there are elements of the information that I feel like could have been presented in a much more effective manner. But also at the same time, there are certain elements of Catherine as an individual that just feel very surface level and don't necessarily get as deep as other elements of her character do. I Know Catherine, the Log Lady, is now making its way around the country via film festivals as well as independent screenings. There is a link in the show notes below that you can check out to see if this film is coming anywhere near you. I highly recommend checking this out if you are a fan of David Lynch or Twin Peaks, or just want a good, wholesome documentary, and you're just a cinephile. I think if you fall into any three of those categories, check this movie out. Again, links are going to be in the show notes below. There's not necessarily any mental health themes woven throughout the course of this, as this is a pretty standard biography told through the documentary format. So with that said, if you are someone you know is struggling and you're currently going through suicide, addiction, self-harm, or depression, in the show notes below, along with those links, you guys will also find links to our mental health resource library. And if you're new and you're wondering why I just plugged mental health, first off, mental health is incredibly important. And second off, Victims and Villains is a multimedia nonprofit creating content like what you're watching right now, simply to talk about mental health through pop culture and just ask the question of what can pop culture really teach us about mental health? And yeah. Once again, I Know Catherine the Log Lady is making its rounds around the country. So if it is in a city near you, please go check it out. And until next time, remember to stay classy, keep it strange. Have a great night.